welcome back to my channel, Pin of the Beloved, the dwelling place for the creator. So it's been about a couple of months since I've made a video. I have been in the middle of applying for graduate school, getting accepted, and then within a week withdrawing from graduate school, which is a story for an entirely different time. But now that I have time again, I am back with some content for you guys. So if you've been following me for any amount of time, you know that I talk a lot about creativity, how to build rhythms and routines of creativity and to make that more of a feasible possibility in your own daily life. I know for me, creativity is something that I do often as a poet, as a dancer, and even as a grant writer in the nonprofit world. Something I've come to discover in my own working life and creative life is that how we go about our daily lives exists within the rhythms we set for ourselves. The things we do when we rise in the morning are a part of a ritual, in essence, a routine or a rhythm, if you will. Rhythms and routines are essential to the functionality of our work and our play in every facet of our life. Not one person lacks a routine, more so as individuals we lack structure and we lack discipline. I know many times we kind of barter and kind of gamble with ourselves and our own time management by thinking if we do this more, we will be more productive human beings. But something I've come to realize in my own life, it's not so much having the desire to be motivated and having the desire to create. It's the discipline that pushes me to create and to do when I'm not feeling inspired or motivated, which kind of happens a lot. So for me, I was the kid in high school that had poor time management skills, which then transferred into my college years. Not that I was terrible at managing my time, I was just not very good at it. I would rather read books than do homework. I would rather watch TV than read the book assigned to me for my English Modern American Lit class. And so I would find myself developing these rhythms and routines that were based on the lack of structure and the lack of discipline. And so it's not so much so that we are lacking rhythm and we're lacking routine, we're lacking the schedules, is that we lack the discipline to do the things we set for ourselves within those schedules. And one thing that I feel we often forget is that creativity kind of relies heavily on discipline and heavily on structure. Not that our creative whimsy and our creative inspiration can't exist and be whimsical and be spontaneous, but as people who are trying to live lives creatively, much of that comes from the great act of discipline. So about 2 years ago, when the pandemic first happened, I had all of this free time on my hands. The two jobs that I had during the pandemic, I obviously didn't have anymore because they were within the public workforce. And so I was at home and I was writing poetry and I was making YouTube videos and I was making all of this content for Instagram and my website. And I felt that I had this great drive to be creative, and I had very little discipline, very little structure. But at the time I had this wealth of minutes and hours to do what I wanted to do, which made me feel structured even though I wasn't. So when I entered into the workforce again in 2021, I had a 9-to-5 job and I was working what felt like to me at the time all the time when I really wasn't. And the lack of structure that I had developed and continued during the pandemic kind of maneuvered its way into my present 9-to-5 lifestyle. And I found myself thinking, I have no time to create. I have no time to write this poem. I have no time to think about and write and structure and plan out a novel, when in reality, I just lacked so much discipline, and I'm still working on that. I felt that making schedules and planning out my time kind of sapped me of spontaneity. I felt that if I wrote down what I needed to do and I wrote down set hours and set times, I was ridding myself of the beauty of being spontaneous and the beauty of staring outside my window, looking at trees and being inspired by autumn and writing a poem, which is what I did a lot of in the fall of 2020. I wrote a lot of poems about trees. The best part about creating rhythms and routines of creativity in your life is understanding that it is never too late to start. I feel that in the world of social media, in the world of so many people giving advice, some that is definitely warranted and some that is not. We can feel so behind and we feel that everyone else is so far ahead of us because people have been doing this for so long. But it is never too late to start embedding facets of discipline into your routine, into how you go about your daily life, whether you are a full-time freelancer, entrepreneur, or you have a 9-to-5 and you are trying to figure out how to structure your time so that you can be creative and so that you can be productive in every facet of your life. I think the key to understanding creativity is understanding that it thrives within discipline. It thrives in being motivated and inspired, but also when you aren't motivated and inspired, the structure of discipline that you've built for yourself will allow you to create even when you don't feel your most optimal creative self. I can attest wholeheartedly to the fact that there will be days that creativity will be hard to muster. There will be days where you will wake up and feel like, I would rather do anything but sit down and write this, or sit down and create this graphic, this design, to sit down and plan out how to make this idea a reality. And it's understandable. The goal isn't to sit down and create a masterpiece every time you set out to be creative. The goal is not to make the next best thing. The goal is to just be. And I think creativity, I believe creativity is something that allows us to just be in the very bodies that God has created us to exist in. Creativity is a mode of existence. It is a mode of being alive and understanding how creativity is something that pushes us to value life and to see and taste the beauty of all that is around us. And that is why I make content about creativity, because I love it. You should count how many times I say creativity in this video. So I leave you with this quote from a Medium article writer named Atticus Harris, and this is the quote. To find creativity in your work, and whatever your work is, you can do it creatively. It's important to make it a habit. If for no other reason than by simply turning up each day, we increase the odds of creativity striking. And I think that's kind of the goal, is to find moments and pockets within time where creativity strikes, and to not force it, to not berate ourselves if it doesn't happen, but to be open to it happening, to be open to the fact that our discipline, our routines, our rhythms of structure create space even in what seems so uncreative, that time, those disciplines, those routines, those rhythms, it makes space for that. And to give yourself the freedom to figure out how creativity works for you and how it exists within you. So yeah, so that's the video. How to build routines and rhythms that last within your own creativity. So yeah. So thank you for watching this video. That is the very first video in a very long time. I hope that you enjoy it, and please leave in the comments below what are some of your favorite ways to embed creativity into your routines. How do you push yourself to be a disciplined human being? I would love to know, because I'm still learning how to be disciplined myself. But don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe, and stay tuned for my next video. Lacking rhythm and our lacking routine. It's very interesting to think that this is harder than I thought.